To another briefing. So in this briefing, I want to talk mostly about what's going on in the Bay Area, pretty much what's going on with the rainfall, rainfall projections, simulated radar, and the general pattern over the western United States for the next couple weeks, what the global computer models are projecting as of lately. So I want to start out by showing the radar for the Bay Area region this afternoon. We had a lot of light to moderate showers pushing late morning, early afternoon today. Now we have some lighter rainfall bands just off the coast. Still raining at my home in Sausalito in southern Marin at the moment. It's been raining pretty steadily here for the last few hours. Got about little over a third of an inch so far. It's not bad. It's our first rainfall in 27 days. I'll show you here this data from my home weather station. Uh, Last measured rainfall was zero point 0.1. It was a tenth of an inch on the 3rd of January. Then we had, in the middle of winter, we had nothing at all for a full 27 days. It's very impressive for the middle of winter to not have rain for that long. And then finally today we're getting rainfall. Last I checked we were at 0.35, but projections are looking like we could finish the day with 0.5, maybe 0.7. We'll see how that plays out. But yeah, seeing that rainfall move through, if we look at the simulated radar on the high resolution rapid refresh model for the next 48 hours roughly. We're looking at this evening another band of rain coming in around the 7 to 8 p.m. time frame. This is just a computer model projection, by the way. It's not a forecast, just a projection of what this computer model thinks is going to happen based on the conditions as we best understand them as at the 18Z hour, which was 10 a.m. this morning on this model. So putting this into motion as we go through, there's a little bit of a break overnight, but then as we go through early tomorrow morning, look at more bands of rain, even moderate to heavy in some pockets there. Look at some heavier pockets there near Half Moon Bay and SFO. This is around the 9 a.m. area. If any people that like sleeping late on the weekends, this might wake you up, by the way. Because this is when you get into that yellow reddish zone, is usually the kind of rain that will hit the roof pretty hard and wake you up. I've had those bands come through at 3 in the morning, and it's certainly not, as much as I love rain, it's not pleasant to have it disrupt your sleep. Anyways, so we put this into motion, and you see some scattered showers. Throughout the day, like late Saturday into early Sunday, and then there might be another. This is out of this computer model range at this point, but there could be more showers coming in behind that. But we'll focus on the short term for now. If we put the accumulations here, as we put this into motion, as we go through late tonight, by midnight, you've got the HER model projecting maybe half an inch for a lot of South Marin, Novato and Petaluma, a little bit of rain shadowing, so maybe a third of an inch. But Santa Rosa, an inch. Healdsburg, close to an inch as well. Looking at half an inch for roughly for Half Moon Bay, quarter inch for SFO, about 2/10 of an inch for most of the South Bay and the East Bay. As we go through Monterey, trace amounts. But as we put this in, if we go all the way to Sunday at 10 a.m., which is as far as this particular model goes out, looking at third of an inch in San Jose and Monterey, and I mean widespread, like several inches in the coastal hills here of Marin, and maybe 2 inches for Santa Rosa. Widespread 1 to 2 inch amounts for most of the Bay Area here. Even Livermore could get over an inch in this projection. If we go to the national blend of models, which kind of puts all the computer models together and does a big blend of them, go a little further out. Let's go to 10 p.m. Monday. Actually, let's go to 4 a.m. Tuesday. And you can see by that point on the national blend, almost an inch in Monterey and in San Jose, even widespread 2 to 3, even 4+ inches for some of the North Bay. If we go in even further to 10 p.m. Tuesday, mind you, just a projection based on the conditions as we understand them today, but close to 2 inches for even Monterey and San Jose, very notoriously rain shadowed areas. Even these areas picking up over an inch. So this is very impressive. This is definitely something to watch. Another thing that's interesting to watch is the potential for snow for some of the higher elevations of the Bay Area. So just looking at out to 4 a.m. Friday on the national blend of models, there is snow showing up for Mount Hamilton, even a little bit in the Santa Cruz Mountains, which would mean this is a 3,000-foot snow level or even a little bit lower, because these mountains, I believe the highest peaks are around 2,700 or 3,000, and it's showing a little bit of snow. Mount Hamilton is 4,000, Mount Diablo is 4,000, Mount St. Helena is over 4,000, so these are all over 4,000, so we could see snow in some of the highest Bay Area peaks by the end of the week. Don't take this as an exact forecast, but it's showing up on the national blend of models. It's definitely something to watch. Now, if we go to the European global model projection, this goes out a little bit further. It's not the resolution isn't as good. It doesn't have some parameters that the higher resolution models do, but it's a pretty good model. It tends to be even better than the American GFS model. It's a little bit better resolution than the GFS, and it uses a different data set. So I like to look at the European a lot as of lately, but I'll look at the GFS too sometimes. I'll kind of compare them. As a matter of fact, I'll do that right now. Let's look at those models side by side. European model on the left and GFS on the right. And as I put this into motion, you're going to notice this over the next couple days or so, going into Sunday roughly, this constant stream of moisture into northern and central California. I'll demonstrate this right here. Both models in pretty good agreement, although the GFS wants it maybe a little further north than the European. But central to northern California is we're gonna have this hose of moisture, which some would call an atmospheric river. It used to be called Pineapple Express. There are a lot of different names for it, but basically it's when you have a deep tap of moisture all the way from the subtropics into places like California. They can hit the Pacific Northwest as well. And there's something interesting happening in the Pacific Northwest. You might notice all this blue up here that represents snow, because it is actually cold enough. It is projected to be cold enough in places like Seattle and Portland for there to be some snow. Now, I'm planning to do a separate briefing on that, but that's something we certainly notice on these models here. And so if I put this into motion, just because I want to see the pattern, what the models are projecting, you're seeing pretty steady rainfall on and off through the weekend, and then both models are in pretty good agreement on bringing another system late Monday afternoon into the Bay Area, into Monday night. And you see it's a colder system. You see these blue lines here? These are thickness lines, and this means that there's a lot less the pressure of the atmosphere going up to 18,000 feet is a lot lower. This is generally associated with a trough in the jet stream. Just so I show what a trough looks like. This is a classic trough in the jet stream. And what that does is it brings cold air south. So this is a lot of cold air coming in here. This is colder air making its way into California. And notice what happens with the snow levels. They drop. The snow is a lot more widespread than it was previously. With the past system, you had a much higher snow level. Let me demonstrate that. See, if I go back to the weekend, look at how there's almost no snow showing up here. There's like little blips in the highest peaks because it's a very high snow level because there's a lot of warm air advecting in. Look at this. Okay. A lot of warm air. That's a different setup. When we go to the Wednesday system that the computer models are projecting, much colder. See that snow there? Because that's a different setup. With this setup, you have a lot more availability of cold air because you have this 540 thickness line where the jet stream usually sets up. It represents the 540 thickness line. What it represents is basically where you have 0 Celsius, 32 Fahrenheit freezing temperature at the 5,000 foot level. And you see that 5,000 foot freezing line is digging way south. So you have snow down to about 5,000 feet or a little lower, where previously with that other system you had the snow much higher, maybe 8,000 feet or 9,000 feet. So this is going to be a much better snowmaker, this system that comes in later in the week, because there's plenty of cold air available with it to lower those snow levels. Now as we go in, pretty good agreement that this system could actually get into Southern California. The European model is a little more aggressive with that than the GFS. We'll have to see how that plays out, but that would certainly be very beneficial for them. And then you see lots of cold air hanging around with these blue thickness lines hanging around in through the extended. And let me yeah. Okay, so the European does show a little bit of that snow for the higher elevations in the Bay Area. It looks like the GFS is a little bit warmer. It doesn't quite show that on that time frame, but that's roughly where we might see snow in the on the Bay Area peaks if enough of that cold air gets down in time for when we still have moisture around. We'll have to see how that plays out. But then both models are actually in pretty decent agreement considering this is a week out. That we'll have yet another system around February 7th. Looks like a good amount of cold air available with that one as well to produce some solid snow, maybe down to 4,000, 3,000 feet. We shall see. Certainly above 5,000 feet, it's looking like this is going to be a good snowmaker on both the Euro and the GFS. It's nice to see this agreement in the models this far out. We'll see how that goes day by day, though, but it's looking not bad, actually. And then, relatively wet pattern. There's what we call a zonal flow here. So if you look at these thickness lines here, this is usually where the wind follows, and the 540 line around here roughly is where the jet stream usually sets up. And so the jet stream is doing this. It's an open storm door where it's allowing all the storms that develop offshore to make their way in. The GFS is even more generous, bringing that jet stream even further south and just really having this wide open storm door with some cold air available, which is good for snow in the mountains. When you have a ridge of, if you had this, see what we have happen a lot, and what happens for Southern California still, is you have a big ridging sort of pattern where you have a high pressure and you have the jet stream doing something like this, and when that happens, the storms get deflected. They try to come in and then they just get deflected to the north. And what we had most of January is we had a big ridge over most of the west coast. So the storms were going even north of the Pacific Northwest. They were going well up into Canada, and we had mild, dry weather for most of the month. Now we finally see a change in that pattern with these systems starting to come in. So a lot to watch, a lot to keep an eye on the next couple weeks. We'll see how this all plays out. Thank you for watching. I hope you're able to get something out of this, and I'll see you next time.